Duel Links. You love it, you hate it, you've never tried it, or you've sunken your cost into that fallacy. Either way, you've probably heard of Konami's mobile game by now. And if you have heard of it before, then you definitely know of how limited the game mode can be. 4,000 life points, only 6 playable fields compared to other game modes 10, and limited archetypes. But that makes me wonder, what would happen if we let all of these archetypes have their full power set? Would it make the game even better? Would it make the archetype itself even better? Heck, would it even be worse than if they just not touched it at all? Today, I'm going to dive into it, looking more into the deck lists themselves and see what happens when we let these archetypes be unleashed. Today's first video is talking about an archetype we all know and love, Prank Kids. Now, if you want a little bit of a history behind Prank Kids, I can do that real quick. It was released in the OCG under this 2018 pack, and then was later given support through the El Dorado packs as well in 2021. However, as for in Duel Links, we are missing some pieces here and there. To get started with the main deck list that we do have in Duel Links, we have 3 main monsters, Lampsies, Droopsies, or Fancies. Lampsies and all of these other cards have the same effect, where if they are sent to the graveyard as a material for fusion or link summonings, they activate their specific effect, and then special summon a Prank Kids from hand or deck in defense position, except for their own archetype. Lampsies has a burn effect, which in Duel Links is actually 250 instead of 500. Droopsies allows you to gain 1,000 life points, and Fancies allows you to send a Prank Kids card from deck to graveyard, Foolish Burial style. As for the spells that we've got available, Prank Kids Place allows to, once activated, to add a Prank Kids monster from deck to hand, and has effects based off of if you fusion summon a monster or if you link summon a monster, both being gaining attack or making your opponents lose attack. Then we have Pranks, a very good card here. You can discard any Prank Kids card to special summon a token. However, during your end phase, you can target 3 Prank Kids cards in graveyard, except for its own continuous spell, and shuffle them into the deck, allowing you to then draw 1 card. This is a very good card to allow you to avoid having all of your engine stuck in the graveyard, and also allows you to continue comboing off if you have a brick in your hand or a card that already has used its effects, since these cards are all once per turn. The main cards, of course. Pandemonium is a quick play fusion spell. Pretty good there, allowing you to, during your main phase only, fusion summon 1 Prank Kids fusion monster using monsters from your hand or field as material. Pretty typical fusion stuff. However, for the rest of this turn, you are locked and cannot normal or special except Prank Kids monsters. This is great for not only fusion summoning during your turn, but also allowing you to fusion summon on your opponent's turn. And remember, these cards are once per turn. Allowing you to activate their effects during your opponent's turn is great for building bodies on the field, and also for bringing out one of these awesome fusion monsters that I'll show in a second. And then there's Plans, which very similar to the quick effect. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. Immediately after this effect resolves, link summon 1 Prank Kids linked monster using monsters you control as material. When your opponent declares an attack, you can banish this card from the graveyard, shuffle any number of Prank Kids cards from your graveyard into the deck, and if you do, that attacking monster loses 100 attack for each card shuffled until the end of this turn. This card is a continuous trap, which isn't the best, however, can be very helpful as a Fancies target, which is due to its graveyard effect, or well, this graveyard effect. Now let's get on to the extra deck monsters we have in Duel Links. We've got Battle Butler, a card that requires 1 of each of the main Prank Kids and allows you to have a quick effect which tributes this card, destroys all monsters your opponent controls. This is a non-targeting destruction board wipe, which is really nice, a really nice card. If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card, by effect or by damage, you can target 1 non-fusion monster in the graveyard, special summon it. That is a pretty nice body block ability in the event of a direct attack to Battle Butler, or in the event of any destruction on your opponent's side. We've also got Rocket Ride, which is just needs 2 generic Prank Kids monsters. When it's fusion summoned, allows you to lose 1000 attack this turn, and can also attack directly this turn. You can tribute this card, non-quick effect by the way. Then target 2 Prank Kids non-fusion monsters with different names in your graveyard, special summon them, but they cannot attack this turn. Prank Kids Rocket Ride itself is a pretty solid fusion. It's not a quick effect like the Battle Butler, but still allows you to be able to chip in that last 1000 just in case, or can also allow you to get cards back on the field for your Pandemonium next turn. We also got 2 Link monsters in Duel Links. We've got Bow Wow Bark and Do Doodle Doo. Do Doodle Doo is more popular. 2 generic Prank Kids monsters, and if this is Link summoned, you can add a Prank Kid spell or trap from deck to hand. That is a pretty solid ability in itself, but it can also tribute itself non-quick effect and target 2 Prank Kids with different names in your graveyard except Link monsters to add them to your hand. This is pretty solid, again, if you want to prepare for Pandemonium for your opponent's turn. While Bow Wow barks a little differently. 2 generic Prank Kids monsters, add a Prank Kids card, a Prank Kids monster this card points to gains 1000 attack. During your opponent's turn, you can use a quick effect to tribute this card, then target 2 Prank Kids cards with different names in your graveyard except Link monsters, add them to your hand. Also, Prank Kids monsters you control cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects this turn. This card in itself is a pretty solid attack booster, but then also has its own quick effect that allows your cards to stay on the field in the event someone has a board wipe. Allows for opponents to not be able to destroy with card effects. Is very good, especially in modern decks. But that's all we have in Duel Links. There's a couple of cards that aren't in the game yet as of recording, because let me show you over here. They are in the database. We have some that are, but the main ones that aren't even close to being in the game is Prank Kids Roxy's and Prank Kids Meow Meow Meow. Prank Kids Roxy's is a level 4 Rock Earth monster with this effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard as material for fusion or link summon of a Prank Kids monster, you could banish 1 card from your hand. And if you do, draw 1 card. Then it allows you to special summon a Prank Kids monster from deck or hand in defense position. Banishing generally isn't that good with Prank Kids. However, in the event you brick, can allow you to gain an extra card or potentially the card you need for a play to continue. Roxy's in itself being pretty solid, but it doesn't really pale in comparison to this Link 1 monster, Meow Meow Meow. You need 1 level 4 or lower Prank Kids monster, and allows you to do crazy combos with him. The effect itself isn't that bad. You can only link summon Prank Kids Meow 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 once per turn. If a Prank Kids monster you control would tribute itself to activate its effects during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card you control or in your graveyard instead. You can only use this effect once per turn. Not only does this allow you to activate one of your main cards right away, giving that effect because it's link summoned, but Meow 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 allows you to get an additional tribute using the effects of Battle Butler, using the effects of Bow Wow Bark, and you'll see soon enough this other boss monster we've got, Rippin' Roarin' Roaster. It requires +2 Prank Kids monsters, being a Link 4, must be Link summoned, can't be summoned any other way, I'm guessing that means, but it has a quick effect. You contribute this card, destroy all spell and traps your opponent controls. Notice this is not during your opponent's turn, but it can be used during your opponent's turn. If this card is in your possession and is sent to your graveyard by your opponent's card, effect, or by damage, you can target 1 card in your graveyard except Link monster, add it to your hand. An almost polar opposite to our Battle Butler. Instead of special summoning it, you just add it to hand. However, its quick effect allowing you to destroy back row is very, very similar to Battle Butler. Of course, you're not going to be linking off during your opponent's turn unless it's through plan. However, still a very strong effect in the event your opponent has built up a strong back row. And finally, we've got our fusion monster. This one here is Weather Washer. And this one requires a generic, again, 2 Prank Kids monsters. If your Prank Kids monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. During your opponent's turn, you gain the quick effect. You can tribute this card, then target 2 Prank Kid non-fusion monsters with different names in your graveyard, special summon them. Notice it doesn't specify non-link monsters. Either way, they cannot be destroyed by battle this turn, and it's once per turn. This card is a great addition to the cast. This effect alone is very strong. Certain cards that activate during battle, like Mirror Force, cannot activate during this card's or any Prank Kids cards attack, and same could be said for other monster effects as well. The quick effect is a very solid one as it special summons instead of putting it to hand, and allows you to avoid destruction through battle, which is very great for keeping your cards on the field like mentioned previously. Either way, these 4 cards not being in Duel Links is a crime, but how bad would it be if they were added into Duel Links? Good question. What I've got here is an example of what I would build for a Prank Kids deck. Of course, we've got the staples, and we've gone for a 30-card deck simply because having more Prank Kids allows for more effects to activate. We, of course, run 3 Lamseys, 3 Droopseys, 3 Fancies, 3 Roxys, and 3 Tongue Twisters. We've got 3 Pandemonium quick play spells, 2 Pranks, and 3 Places, with 2 plans in the deck. Now, of course, we gotta have some extra cards added onto them. We've got ourselves 2 Duel Lockbirds, 2 Nibs, 2 Eclipses, and 2 Impermanents. However, you can put whatever effects you want or hand traps you want in the event you want to go play something that's different depending on the meta. For the extra deck, we have cut out the specific Rocket Rider, sadly, but we've gotten ourselves Battle Butler, Weather Washer, 2 copies of Bow Wow, 2 copies of Doodle Doo, 2 copies of Meow, and 1 copy of Rippin' Roaring Roaster. However, you could edit this extra deck to include the Rocket if you would like. The pros? Well, of course, it could pop off with so many 1-card combos. We've got over half the deck being 1-card combos, including our Prank Kids Place being a fantastic search engine. Second pro is it has non-targeting destruction. This one here destroys all monsters your opponent controls and allows for the cat to be banished instead of itself being tributed. And same thing for spell and trap cards. Non-targeting destruction is very valuable and could see a lot of potential. The third pro is gotta be Weather Washer. Weather Washer itself and other cards like Bow Wow Bark, allowing your cards to not be destroyed by battle or by card effects, is fantastic, allowing for you to keep your cards on field and not in the graveyard. Cons. Because yes, this deck has cons. Number 1 is gotta be it's easy to disrupt. We've got a lot of cards that prevent you from doing anything, like Duel Lockbird, like Nibiru. Even though you could technically bypass Nibiru, there's still a lot of cards that allow your opponent to stop you from doing anything too extreme. Cards like Book of Eclipse can help set your Battle Butler. Cards that have negates for your extra deck monsters could also see a lot of you stopping prematurely. Yes, the 1-card combos are amazing. However, those extra cards could easily be popped. We can see a lot of issues with Prank Kids Pranks being sent to the grave too early before your turn ends, stopping you from getting graveyard cards to your hand. Same thing for certain other cards, like having a set Pandemonium with no extra protection other than its quick effect. The second con has got to be against meta-relevant decks. I can see a lot of issues when trying to go up against Blazing Dragon. Cards that burn you for playing or stop you from playing beyond your card. Same for the graveyard effects. For cards like Abyss Dragon and others, seeing a lot of cards stop you from being able to activate graveyard effects is not rare in the game of Duel Links. So, yes, this deck is very fun, very entertaining, can see a lot of play, and potentially even reach King of Games. I still believe that it's going to struggle with a lot of different meta decks. Did I forget to mention it's very claustrophobic? You got a lot of cards that can get put back on the field, but another con I face is the limited space. You've got yourself 3 main monster zones, which means that if you want to activate Battle Butler on your opponent's turn, at the most you are potentially seeing only 2 of your effects take place with your prank kids. Not a lot of work there. That's very tough, and could see a lot of issues if you are trying to build bodies on the field. Another one with the claustrophobic space is the fact that Roxy's, it's a 4th card. It causes a huge brick if you try to put that in the field after you activated all of your other effects here from your main 3, and can't really fuse off to anything except for Weather Washer, or if we go into Rocket Ride, that as well. The last thing I kind of want to discuss about the deck list is its availability. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links has this issue where certain older decks are locked behind older boxes, and unless they reprint, as some people call it, these decks into newer boxes, it's going to be really hard for people to invest into Prank Kids in the event that it does become supported with Roxy's or with the Meow Cat card. And then also potential. I mean, sure, you can definitely expect them to give Roxy's into Duel Links for sure. We've already got Weather Washer and we've already got Rip and Rooster into the database, but the cat is going to be a tough convincing? It's going to be tough to convince Konami. Trust me when I say that I highly doubt that Meow Mew will be even close to legal, if not limited to 1, so that people don't have a non-targeting destruction for both main monster zone and spell. Whoa. Even though the deck list isn't fully up to the meta, I still believe that it's going to be nigh impossible to convince Konami that this singular cat is worth bringing into the game. But hey, that's the pessimist in me. Call me Mechlord, the way I highly doubt this will work. But still, I feel like if in the event it's at the bare minimum limited to 2, that Pandemonium's limited to 3, or whatever the case may be, I fully believe this deck list could see play. It could be very fun without a skill. I forgot to mention, this isn't even regarding a potential skill. The best I would give Prank Kids, if we really want to get into the skill diving, is send a prank card back to the deck, draw 1. That's the most I would do. Honestly, I wouldn't want to give them anything crazy. No free bodies, no free Urgeki, no free tribute. Honestly, I would give them a free reload, because the deck itself is already consistent, but the deck itself still can face scrutiny under meta decks. So, realistically, if I was in charge of anything, I think this would be a good addition to the game. Adding cards that not only are already in the deck or in the database, but adding the full support for Prank Kids. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm crazy? Do you guys think Prank Kids deserves to be vaulted for good? Because after all, any Prank Kids, or any Link 1 sees play, whether they like it or not. But still, what do you guys think? Let me know. I'll probably make a video on any other archetype you feel like could potentially see major play if they were unleashed. Ooh, that's crazy. Yeah, and let me know if there's any other Duel Links archetypes that you would like to see fully supported in the future, and I might make a video on it.